Hello and welcome to Dice Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I want to show you how I paint a candy colored striped Kustom Boosta-Blasta for my orc army. And I decided that instead of going completely crazy with the colors like I did on my Morkonut or Gorkonut, I still haven't quite figured out which one it is, I wanted to do something else instead, using a pattern, and I thought that sort of a candy striped pattern would be fun and would probably match the theme of the army, which I'm calling the Bubblegum Boys Brigade, pretty well. So I decided to go for stripes, and as you can see, I'm going. I'm pretty low tech. I've just found this piece of balsa wood, and I decided that would make a nice marker to make sure I got some relatively evenly sized stripes. And I mean, I could probably have done something with like making sure that it was completely the right angle and stuff. But I mean, this is for orcs. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be completely perfect, right? And I'm using a watercolor pencil to do the markings because it's water soluble. So if I made a huge mistake, I could just redo the whole thing. And then I've decided I want it to be turquoise and yellow. So I am using one of my all-time favorite turquoise paints from GW, the Athematic Blue, the contrast paint. And I just really like this paint. I think it's just really nice, vibrant color, and I think it'll work pretty well for this project. Next up, I grab my Yandon Yellow, also a contrast paint, and I just fill in the rest of these stripes that were left by the turquoise. As you can see, I'm trying to be relatively careful. I don't want a lot of yellow on the turquoise because as these colors are so transparent, it'll easily show if I make a huge bunch of mistakes. And that's actually one of the reasons why I like the contrast paints, not that you can easily see mistakes, but that they're so easy to work with, which makes them also quite easy to use for freehand such as this. After it's dry, I try to fit it to the side of the car and then mark where I want these stripes to continue. I want it to be a continuous pattern going on both sides of the vehicle. So I just try to make sure that it'll fit reasonably well, and then I just paint in the rest of the stripes, trying to get an angle that is relatively close, at least, to the one on the top of the vehicle. It's not very easy to fit a pencil in here, but I mean, again, I'm not going for perfection, I'm just going for something that'll look cool on the tabletop. And then I just go back to my Athematic Blue and my Yandon Yellow. I've decided that I want to use a bright red color, another contrast paint, the Blood Angels Red, for the smaller details on the vehicle. I could paint them also just the yellow and the turquoise, but I thought it would be nice if they stood out just a little bit. So I'm using a nice bright red, which I really like, and then I am using the Talazar Blue for the teeth on the details here. It could be any colors. I was very tempted to go with pink because, I mean, anytime you get a chance to include pink in your paint scheme, why wouldn't you? But I decided against it because there'll be grots painted pink on the vehicle. Then I grab the Pterodon Turquoise and I start filling it in with my cross-hatching technique. And I'm also using the Pterodon Turquoise, as you can see here, to mark the lines between the stripes. I want there to be a very clear contrast between the turquoise and the yellow. And I'm using a really small pencil here, or a very small brush here, as you can see. And I want it to be, it's actually quite tiny. It's easy enough to paint once you get the hang of it, but it's some tiny details here, so I really needed a smaller brush. Then I grab my Gryph-hound Orange, also contrast paint, and I do the same with the yellow, doing a darker line next to the turquoise and then doing the cross-hatching pattern to put a little shading in. And as you can see, for the turquoise, I put the shadow on the lower parts of the roof here, while I am doing the orange here on the top. And that doesn't make a lot of sense if you were to look at it like realistically, because you would have some places that would be dark and some places that would be light. But I have decided to go for the maximum effect from these stripes, which means I want them to contrast as much as possible. So that's why I'm going for this pattern where you have a light turquoise on the top and dark on the bottom, and then the other way around with the orange and yellow. Then I grab my Gore Grunter fur and just do a quick shading of the red. It's not very deep or anything, it's just to make sure that it stands out a little bit. And I grab the black Templar contrast paint and do the same thing for the blue parts of the details and the trim. Again, just a little quick paint job here on the sides. It's not something I'm willing to spend a huge amount of time on. I'm hoping that these stripes on the cars will be what grabs your attention anyway. Next up, I start highlighting these stripes, and for the yellow I use Flash Kids yellow, and I try to be careful when I'm putting in the I don't know if you can call it a proper edge highlight, but you probably get what I mean. And I do not want that to cover the Gryph-hound orange I put next to it. I just want to highlight parts of the stripe. And as you can see, I'm putting the highlights on the lower parts of the rooftop. Again, probably not very realistic, but I mean, with a paint job such as this, we are definitely not going for realism anyway. And next up, I just quickly grab some Wraithbone and I do a very careful highlight of the yellow. As I've said many times before on this channel, when I use Wraithbone to highlight yellow, I try to be really careful so that it doesn't go overboard. I don't want it to be a very pale yellow. I just want it to be very clear that we have a very nice bright highlight. Next up, I take some Army Painter Matte White and I do the same thing with the turquoise as I did with the yellow and do a highlight. This time, as you can see, on the top of the rooftop. So as you can see, I get a lot of contrast both with the two colors, with the yellow and the turquoise, but also with the shades and the highlights. So you have the very light white turquoise next to the darker orange parts and the very light yellow parts with the Wraithbone next to the darker turquoise parts. And I think it helps sell the illusion of the stripes. And lastly, I just apply a tiny bit of white to the blue teeth on the details here. Again, not something I'm willing to spend a huge amount of time on, as the stripes are what is important and fun on this painting project, I think. And here you can see what the finished result looks like. I had so much fun painting this vehicle. It was just fun coming up with something different. I've never painted anything in stripes before, I think. And it was just sort of a spur of the moment idea that I had, and it was just really fun. Like most of my other stuff, I don't know if this is the most beautiful color scheme you've ever seen, but it at least brings a smile to my face painting it and looking at it, and I can't wait to get a chance to play with it. So far, due to the plague of Nurgle that has hit worldwide, I don't know when that'll be, but I'm so looking forward to it. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, I hope you will consider leaving a like or subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And remember, you can also follow me on social media such as Twitter and Instagram as Dice and Demons. So thank you so much for watching this one, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.